Hello, everyone. My name is Nick Infernus, and after like 3 whole months, it's time to finally do another Transformers Legacy reveals video. And with that, I welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to Legacy United, the third, and I'm honestly kind of hoping, final chapter of the Transformers Legacy line, and one that doesn't really seem to have a set gimmick. Year one had the Energon weapons, which they ended up dropping pretty early on. Then Evolution had the Evo Fusion, which they didn't drop, but got progressively worse. From what they said in the live stream, I'm guessing the gimmick here is that they're just going to try to pull from every single Transformers continuity possible, except for maybe the movies, because that's studio series. And I guess this one shouldn't be too hard to stick with, considering all the leaked listings. At the same time, they're absolutely going for it with this first wave, because in this wave alone, I counted 9 different universes. Yeah, 9. When the highest amount that any of the other waves had was 5. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is mainly like G1, Beast Wars, Prime, Cyberverse, etc. Yeah, I counted 9 of them. And I'll be sure to point them out as we continue on. All right. And before we get into the actual figures, I just want to say it feels really nice to have at least one wave where I don't really feel negative about any of these. I'm not, absolutely ecstatic about all of them, but I can safely say that I like what I'm seeing with each of them. All right. So let's get started. Yep, there's the title card. Yeah, so let's get started with Core Class. Starting off with Energon Megatron. There's universe number 1. And honestly, this is actually a really great start. I think this is probably the best we could have hoped for a, I think it was like 10, 11, $12 version of, the Decepticon leader from Energon, which from what I've heard is kind of considered the sort of the loser of the Unicron trilogy. But regardless, this is still a fun looking figure. Both modes look nice, and this is absolutely getting repainted into Galvatron. I say sarcastically, or probably not even sarcastically, I'm using that word wrong. I say knowing that I say having knowledge of the listings. Yeah, looks fun. So after that, we have the Beast Wars the Second. There's universe number 2. Tasmania Kid, or Snarl, I think is what he was known as in Japan. I don't know. So first of all, if you take off the backpack, this thing is pretty much 100% screen accurate. Of course, that kind of has to be there because that animation model pretty much cheated. Tailgun's pretty nice. And overall, I think I do at least like that they didn't partake in faux forming with the head. Like everything that needs to be there is there. The only faux forming is really just, the chest, because obviously. But then you get to the Tasmanian Devil mode, and oh my god, I need this thing. That is just the cutest thing. I thought Kingdom Rat Trap's rat mode was cute. Nah, get out of here. This is so much cuter. And oh my god, how is it even cuter on the box? Is it obvious that I'm really excited for this thing? Because I know literally nothing about this character. And then we finally got an answer to what the rocks were. These are the Armorizers. Here we have Infernac Universe number 3. This is apparently a Headmaster's thing. Boulder Crash. I don't know what I was expecting. So these are like robotic, like rock things that turn into vehicles. A bit weird, but hey, Transformers is kind of weird anyways. I'm on board. And this is a pretty neat design. It is kind of interesting how the whole top section of the bike becomes a weapon. And of course, just gotta ignore the long stick of kibble coming off his back. But the design of this guy is pretty neat. It's got a faceplate and visor, can never go wrong with those. And I really like the lava details throughout, like just throughout his body. And also, how often do we see trikes in Transformers? Like, 3-wheel bikes. But you know what's better than a core class Rock Warrior? How about a deluxe class Rock Warrior? Magnius. Oh, that's the good stuff right there. That is one of the coolest alt modes I think I've ever seen. It almost looks frozen over. Like, I'm just now realizing this. It almost looks like icicles, but instead it's like really weathered rock. And that is a really badass looking robot design. He looks like a knight. And something I've never really mentioned, I really like knights and just like the knight design aesthetic in general. This is another Infernac universe one. Obviously, the last one was in that universe. Obviously, this one would be too. But honestly, I'm more excited for this one. And also, that is a really nice looking weapon. So after that, we had... Actually, there were two figures that were revealed by Screen Rants a few days ago. The first one being Animated Universe Bumblebee. That's universe number 4. And honestly, the initial images of this guy made him look kind of weird with how the shoulders are. And safe to say, these images look a lot better. Like, the shoulders look a lot more... Well, they look a lot more natural. And that alt mode looks basically perfect. Honestly, I actually don't mind what they're doing to the animated characters. The original animated toys were already basically perfect as is, so what they're doing here is that they're going with a more Generations aesthetic and kind of giving like what if animated but G1 sort of. It's basically the same thing they did with Prowl, and they're doing it here with Bumblebee and another one coming up. But yeah, overall a very solid looking Bumblebee that's apparently going to be the same size as Earthrise Cliffjumper. He better be worth that 25 ducks. Yeah, he better be worth the 25 dollars. Sorry, I tried saying dollars or bucks, and it came out as ducks. It's outtakes like that I'm just okay with leaving in. So after that, we are finally delving into Rescue Bots with Chase. Make that number 5, I think. And this just has Prime Cliffjumper written all over it. But at the same time, it looks neat. I'm not really all that familiar with Rescue Bots, only really knowing that it's like the most lighthearted part of the Align continuity, which is the continuity containing, Prime, which is very dark and mature. But I think the design translates pretty well into this aesthetic. Again, this is kind of what they've been doing with all the Prime characters, except for maybe Skyquake, where they're having them fit in with the rest of the Generations line. I'd say this is definitely one of the better jobs, though I can't really say that I've really disliked any of the stylizations. Yeah. Though honestly, I wouldn't mind having like another police car. I honestly wish they did Heatwave, because that's really the only Rescue Bots character that I have any connection to, thanks to, the Angry Birds crossover. But overall, a very nice figure of... I don't remember who the leader of the Rescue Bots is. It's probably not this guy, but a very nice translation. And then we round out the deluxes with Cyberverse Windblade. I believe that's 6. Hold on a minute. Let me check. Yep, that's 6. And I'll be honest, this is probably the figure of the wave that I'm the least positive about. Though honestly, the more I look at it, the more I like it. So I guess that goes to show how I feel overall about the wave. The jet actually doesn't look as bad as I thought it did. I used to think it was... I initially thought it was a bit too chunky, but looking at it now, it actually looks fine. I mean, yeah, sure, she's got a backpack, but I mean, she's a deluxe jet former. Albeit one that looks a lot better than Needle Nose, because she doesn't have 2 Target Masters eating up the budget. And I just love how easy it is to recognize this as Windblade. Like, yeah, it's not the most accurate to the Cyberverse version of Windblade, but you can still tell who the character is. And I've definitely wanted a Windblade for my collection, and this is probably going to be my best option, considering that both the Thrilling 30 and Titan's Return Windblades kind of sucked. From what I've heard, at least, I've never handled either of them. But, yep, definitely, even though this is the figure of the wave that I'm the least positive about, I'm still really excited to get my hands on it. Alright, Voyager Class. Universe number 7, we have a character who is a part of Prime, but originally only got a toy and then was in the books. Thundertron. I believe the captain of the Starseekers, which are these Cybertronian space pirates. The toy honestly looked really cool, and this looks just as awesome. I don't remember if I said this in my leak listings video, but I would have actually been a little bit disappointed if they didn't give him the ability to have a peg leg. I don't know how he's going to stand with just the peg leg, so I'm probably going to display him, with the foot. But it is nice that you have the option. And even though I'm just now realizing that the hollowness in the thighs is facing upwards for beast mode, ouch! I really hope that's and not that's. I really hope that's optional. I still think it's a neat looking beast mode. I just realized I think I'm saying the word neat a bit too much. Yeah, it's a really cool design in general. I do at least like that you can put there's somewhere for the foot to go when you have them in the peg leg. And it is also, and I do think it's nice to see that we're getting couple more, obscure toy exclusive characters. I don't think they should do this all the time, but once in a while, I'm okay with it. And for the other Voyager, we have the figure in this wave that I'm definitely the most excited for. Animated Optimus Prime. Yeah, that's the stuff. That's just awesome. I don't think I'm going to say anything controversial here when I say that this is probably the best looking Legacy animated figure. Like, I just think this one works the best with the stylization and just all the little details here that just make this figure work for me. Well, for one, the truck mode never really made sense on animated Optimus Prime. He just had the two wheels in the back and then nothing up front. So I do like that they snuck the little wheels in, at the front. And otherwise is a very accurate looking truck mode. Then you get to the robot mode, and that's just awesome looking. First of all, I didn't even know he had wheels in his shins. I'm not mad about that. I just didn't really know that. But at the same time, this is just, you look at this and you're looking at animated Optimus Prime, which was always an interesting take on the character. I know some people don't really like the fact that he doesn't have the face mask. Honestly, I'm okay with that, considering that this is one of the few incarnations of Optimus who didn't have a faceplate, or at least didn't use one consistently. I think it's okay to have at least one of them where it doesn't have one. Yeah, overall, I definitely foresee this being the best figure of the wave, but I wouldn't hold my breath, of course. I said the same thing about Metal Hawk, and he was, like number 5 in his wave. And then finally, Leader Class. Universe number 8, Beast Wars Tigerhawk. So, just giving off like a little bit of a story here. The last 2 Leader Class figures were a little underwhelming during their reveals. I have to specify during the reveals because I know I previously said that I love Legacy Armada Megatron, which is true. I do still love that figure of Armada Megatron. It's definitely one of the best leaders that we've gotten in Legacy. But I think what happened during his initial reveals is that because I'm not really familiar with the character, I had to do quite a few double takes, and that kind of dampened my excitement. And then with Dreadwing, I was already exposed to Skyquake, who has issues. So that definitely hindered my excitement when it came to Dreadwing. But I am so happy to say that Tigerhawk here has absolutely, what's the word I'm thinking of? Reignited my excitement for Legacy Leaders. This looks sick as hell. I had no idea that his back legs were that skinny, but honestly, considering that it is accurate, I am okay with it, in all honesty. And also, I just love how there's just no full forming on this guy. Like, you see those talons that he has, like the shoulder pauldrons? Those are the actual beast mode feet. Not to mention the head on the shoulder. There are so many details on this guy that I didn't even know he had. And it's just kind of endearing me to the design the more I look at it. Like, this is such a weird design that you could only get away with in something like Beast Wars, and I just love it. I can not wait to get my hands on this guy. I wouldn't say I'm as excited for him as I am for Animated Prime, but this is definitely a close second, with Tasmania Kid being a close third. I almost said close third. But we still have one more figure to talk about, which leads to a bit of a disappointment. And no, it's not the figure itself. It's not the fact that they're repacking Laser Prime. I'm fine with that. The availability of all the versions of this mold were kind of crap in my area. The disappointment comes to the fact that they're doing open box packaging for Leader Class. Why would you do that? Like, seriously, my favorite thing about Legacy Leader class figures is the fact that they had a closed box so you could appreciate the artwork. I forgot to keep the box for the original release of Laser Prime. Also, this is universe number 9 with G2. But I've kept the boxes for Blitzwing, Dragon Megatron, Armada Megatron, and Skyquake, and I will be keeping Dreadwing's box. But I can't keep Tigerhawk's box because it's going to be like this. Why would you do this? Like, I'm not angry about this. It's just, why? I don't understand. Plus, someone in Perspective N server, which yes, I am in, made a very good point that now we can steal leaders. So, good job, Hasbro. You made the figure theft issue a lot worse. But yeah, in general, it's just really nice to have a wave where I'm pretty much looking forward to everything, and not just because I'm a completionist, but because everything just looks good. Like, here we have a slew of really good to great looking figures, and I don't think I've ever been more excited for a first wave. But anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video on the Legacy United reveals. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. I'm not going to bore you with all the generic stuff. See you guys in the next video. Take care, and Godspeed.